I've posted over 10,000 listings on Etsy as a 7-figure print-on-demand seller from Sweden. Here are the top 5 things that I've learned. The number one lesson is that there actually is no secret strategy. Whichever strategy that you use, just follow it and follow it through. Because honestly, what a lot of people say, it actually works. The key to the whole thing is just consistency. As long as you're doing it consistently, then you can make progress. And a key thing to that too is reflection. And that leads me into the next point, which is a huge variable to actually make progress with Etsy. And that's that pain plus reflection equals progress. So when you actually put in the reps and you do a lot of work with your Etsy store, it's so important after a while to just take a step back and just look at the whole thing and see how it's going. What's going well, what's going bad, and how can you improve further and to make the progress that you want to do. You don't want to repeat the mistakes that you do. And one thing that I did in the beginning was that I posted 500 listings a month in the beginning, which was kind of crazy. But the problem with that whole thinking was that I equated effort with results, and those, they don't equate. What actually equates to progress is pain plus reflection, because when you actually put in the reps, you posted a lot of listings, it's important to take a step back, just see what's going well, what's going bad, and how can you improve going forward. Do more of the things that are working well for you and do less of the things that are not working for you. It seems really simplistic, but it's really important to do that and to just not get bottled down into action, which I was that in the beginning. So just make sure to just take a step back and reflect once you've put a lot of reps in so that you can iterate and make progress going forward. The third thing that's really important to know about this is systems. Systems are key. So what I mean by this is that with Etsy and all of that stuff, if you have a very set, clear revenue goal for a year, then you know what you need, the revenue goals that you need to hit per month. And then you also know what revenue goals you need to hit per day in order to achieve the goals that you have. And in order to achieve those revenue goals, you need to do a certain set of tasks in order to be able to hit those goals. Let's say, for instance, that you want to do 6 figures in revenue in a year. So let's say that you want to do 100K in revenue in 1 year, starting from 0. Now, what you have to pay down in the beginning is ignorance debt. So you have a lot of ignorance tied to Etsy if you don't know anything about beauty and Etsy. So if you want to hit that within 1 year, there's a lot of things that you got to do. One thing, for instance, would be you could either pay it with time and a lot of effort, or you can pay it with money, like the ignorance debt here. So you can either pay for someone to help you guide you, but the key thing is to know that you need to have systems in place in order to achieve the goal, and know that there are these variables to actually hit your goals. And systems is just so important. And the only way to actually make the system works, for instance, once you actually know what to do, you know what the goals are. You know that you want to do $300 in revenue per day, for instance. Then you need to know the steps to actually achieve that. In order to achieve that and take one step towards that goal at a time, you need to learn from someone. That's the first thing. But apart from that, you need to start with if that's the goal, then one day you can focus on research, and that's the only thing that you focus that day. And this day after that, once you've done the research, you can start designing and so forth. But the key thing is that you have a set time each and every day that is set towards achieving progress with your goals. Because if you don't have that system in place, that's time allocated per day that is set towards you progressing towards your goals, then you can't make progress. Because the key thing is to have this consistently happening each and every day. And the fourth thing that I think is really important to know here is that you don't need all the tools. You need just a couple. You need to honestly just double down on the strategy that works the best for you. And then you need to just, there are some subscriptions that are key and some payments that are key to actually make this work. So for instance, to hit the margins that you want to hit with Printify and your cost of goods, then you need Printify Premium, in my opinion, because otherwise it's really hard to hit the margins that you need in order to make this work. So Printify Premium, in my opinion, is a must. Apart from that, you need some kind of research software to actually make this work too. My whole method involves downloading the backend data from shops, and I use a software called Everbee for doing that. So some kind of research software is something that I would highly recommend. And then you need some kind of design software too. I use Canva for this mainly too. But those are the 3 core things that you actually need in order to start off with Etsy and make this whole thing work. Later on, you can add things down the line, but you need those 3 things in the beginning. And then you need to just double down on the strategy that you find most appealing to you and just go down that route and just execute it and get better at it each and every day. And there are lots of ways to actually make Etsy work. And I just really believe that you're doubling down on the thing that you find most appealing, and that if it's something is working for you initially, double down on it, work on it, and just try to find as much success as you can with the given strategy that you are actually using. But like trying different things here and there, like getting more software and like all tracing out this other strategy right over here, it's not the best way to approach this whole thing. The best way is just to like follow one thing, see if it works, and then just iterate going forward. But you should never have like this shiny object syndrome of just trying different things here and there, because that will just lead you to an endless path to nowhere. And the last part that is super, super important is to have clear focus. So it is so easy to just judge yourself really hard in the beginning. So in the beginning, none of us make good designs. Like, I'm not a designer. Most people that are doing POD are not designers, and you don't have to be in order to make this whole thing work. The key thing is just to provide value. And something that holds value to another person is something that you yourself might not find valuable. So if you don't like the designs, you're not the one purchasing them. Let the customer and the market decide if it's valuable or not. Just provide the value and let the market decide. That's a key thing when it comes to this whole thing. Just focus on not judging and just providing as much value as you can to the market. Apart from that, another part to the focus too that's really important is to just focus on one platform. Like, Shopify is really different compared to Etsy. Merch on demand is really different compared to Etsy. And I could not have reached 7 figures within less than 3 years if I focused on all different platforms while I was focusing on Etsy. Because I've honestly done merch on demand at the same time as I've done Etsy, but my main focus has always been Etsy. And then whatever works on Etsy, I just put that up on Amazon too. So Amazon has been definitely neglected on my part because I've only focused on Etsy. And the key thing to know is that once one of these platforms are overflowing with like profit and with revenue and it's working super well for you, that's the time to actually diversify. Not at the beginning or the middle, only at the end of the journey, so to speak, when you're actually doing it really, really well and you don't have to allocate that much time to the platform to learn it. That's the perfect opportunity to diversify. But you shouldn't do that in the beginning, because in the beginning you need to focus.